Excelsior!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 6 of Excelsior. I'm your moderator, Christian Buckley. Joining me this week is not Pat Maroney, not Jack Martin, but Miss Kayla Karloff.
Hello.
I'm happy to have you on here.
I'm happy to be here.
You are a fan of Marvel.
I am a fan of Marvel.
I got you into Marvel.
You did get me into Marvel.
Do you think your life is better or worse for it?
Because you got me into Marvel.
Because you're into Marvel in general?
It's so much better.
Okay.
I mean, especially now that One Direction is broken up.
Mm-hmm.
It's really filled the void, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's been good. It's been a good journey. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, well, it builds, it keeps going, and
Yep.
if you just notice, we just got Captain Marvel, the newest addition to the MCU.
Yeah, it keeps going on One Direction breaking up. This has been a call-out post.
So if you are new to the show, last week we reviewed Captain Marvel, myself and Jack. Spoiler-free for the first few minutes, spoiler-filled after 10 or so minutes if you're interested in that. But we're back on schedule. We have been going through the Marvel Cinematic Universe every week, highlighting a movie on the road to Avengers Endgame with some news here or there. This is going to be a slightly different episode because, like I said, the core cast is not here. It's not a spin-off. This is still a full-on episode. And we will be reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 because that is next up in our lineup.
Heck yeah.
On the road to Avengers Endgame. But I like to open the show with a game every week.
Oh, God.
And normally, myself and my co-host Jack pull from a crayon box a random character. It's called Cast Me Baby One More Time, the little game we play where we cast a Marvel character. And Pat is the casting director, actually, I guess, because he picks one of our choices to have them fill some role in the MCU.
Okay.
But this week, we're doing something slightly different.
Oh, goody.
Because you're a fan of Loki.
I love Loki.
You
Yes.
do. I know you love Loki.
I love Loki.
So I've pulled together a little quiz
Oh.
of quotes that may have been said by Loki, may have been said by someone else.
Okay.
So there are 6 I have here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read them,
Oh, my God.
and it's your job to say if this is a quote that is Loki
Mm-hmm.
or low-key, not Loki.
All right.
And you have to answer exactly like that.
Okay. All right.
You have to either say Loki or low-key,
Okay.
not Loki.
All right. I'm nervous.
You should be.
I need to do him proud.
Okay.
Make my dad proud. Okay.
Okay, first quote. Do you want me to read it as Loki?
In his voice.
Okay.
Not the same without it.
Okay, hold on. This is giving me some difficulty, technical problems. Okay, we'll just start here.
Alrighty.
I never wanted the throne. I only ever wanted to be your equal.
Oh, man. Loki.
That's correct.
Yes.
I don't know which movie that's from, but it is Loki. You have 1 so far. 1 for 6. Technically, no, okay. There's nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so.
I don't know. Low-key, not Loki.
Do you know what it's from?
Thor.
It's Hamlet.
God! What?
I told you it could be anything, and Hamlet fits the vibe.
Hamlet.
It's Shakespeare. Loki and Thor are
Yeah.
Shakespeare.
Okay.
The director of Thor directed Hamlet.
Okay.
He starred as Hamlet in Hamlet.
Alright. It's a whole different ball game now. I'm ready.
Your wretched peace treaty will not save you now. 'Tis the tinder on which you burn.
Loki.
No.
God!
That is Marvel, though. Do you know who it's? Do you know who said it?
No.
That is Ronan the
no.
Accuser from the end of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh my gosh.
So you are 2 for 3. There's 3 left. You know this is wonderful. This is a tremendous idea. Let's steal the biggest, most obvious ship in the universe and escape in that.
Loki.
Yes, it is.
Oh, yes.
That is from Thor: The Dark World.
That sounds like is that like a sounds like a Star Wars quote. No.
It's from Thor.
No, never mind. Never mind. I think I'm thinking of it. Never mind.
Is this not your natural state? It's the unspoken truth of humanity that you crave subjugation. The bright lure of freedom diminishes your life's joy in a mad
That's
scramble
Loki.
for it is.
He says humanity.
Do you know what movie it's from?
It is from Avengers.
Yes.
Yes.
Last quote.
Okay.
Show me again the power of the darkness, and I'll let nothing stand in our way. Show me, grandfather, and I will finish what you started.
Low-key, not Loki.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you know who it is?
No.
It is Kylo Ren.
Oh my god. Okay. Did I win?
You got some points. I think you got like 5. 5
Okay.
out of 6. That's pretty good. You're
Number one
validated.
Loki stan.
Sure.
Put that on my lower third.
You have something else on your lower. So that does it for the game. We are now going to be transitioning. No news this week because we're doing this in a weird side timeline. And this is time for us to talk Guardians of the Galaxy
Yes.
Volume 2.
Woo!
You like this movie a lot.
I very much like this movie.
Do you know how many times you have seen this movie?
Oh god, more than you. So I would say like 17.
17.
Yeah. 17.
That was a specific number.
It's definitely that.
Well, it's on Netflix, so that helps.
Yeah. I watch it all the time when I'm sad.
So you're sad a lot then?
Yes.
So before we talk Guardians 2, I never really got a good chance when we talked about Guardians 1 to express how much I love that movie.
Yes.
Because the way we started this whole thing was we did phase 1 in an episode, phase 2 in an episode. So Guardians got a little shafted because the Winter Soldier is clearly
God.
better.
Okay.
But I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I saw the first film the night it opened, Thursday night, with one of my buddies. Went to IMAX. I have the ticket still on my wall. It is. I have the poster, the nice IMAX poster. I'll throw it up on screen because it's a very cool poster.
Can confirm.
Mm-hmm. So I saw that movie at least 8 times in theaters. I think it's the movie I've seen the most time in theaters.
Okay.
I think that's counting a drive-in, but I'm gonna count it. And yeah, it's. I just love that movie. I love how creative it is. And Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, I also enjoy. I didn't see it immediately when it came out. I saw it a little later.
I don't think I did either.
But I still love it nonetheless.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Your history with Marvel and Guardians is interesting because when we started dating, I had Guardians on Blu-ray, I think, at that point, and I was like, "Hey, I need to show you this movie because it's the best thing ever." Do you remember what your initial reaction was?
Yes, I hated it, and Rocket scared the crap out of me.
And you love Rocket now.
And I love Rocket now so much. He's my little furry babe.
So, yeah, with Guardians, that was your first Marvel Cinematic Universe movie that you fully paid attention to?
Yeah, I mean, I had seen, like, Captain America and Avengers, like, on TV, just watching it kind of in the background before then, and I was like, Marvel exists, and I know about this. And I think we watched Avengers together one time, but I didn't pay attention. And then you showed me Guardians. It was like my first full through Marvel movie, and I thought it was very weird, and I didn't understand what was happening or why there were some green people and a tree. Well, I remember when you first told me about Groot, I was like, this is the stupidest thing ever, but I don't want to tell you this because we just started dating and you'll probably judge me. But I thought Groot was stupid and Rocket scared me, and oh, how the tables have turned.
Well, it's funny because after I showed you that, I was like, oh, I'm never showing you Star Wars because I thought you were going to have a similar reaction.
But I didn't.
Yeah, you liked Star Wars a lot.
I do like Star Wars.
First time you saw it, you were like, oh, this is great. And I was like, really? You thought this was great and you didn't like Guardians? Okay. So yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Where would you like to start with this? Is there anything specific you want to start with, or would you like me to just
start with?
Hop into something.
I think, well, I think we could talk about just overall opinions.
Okay.
Generalized.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yeah.
It has grown on me a lot because the first time I saw it, I liked it. I saw it with my brother and my grandpa, and I enjoyed it very much. I was a little hesitant going in because I loved the first one so much that I was like, oh, and Marvel had fumbled a couple sequels at that time, like love it or hate it. Iron Man 2, I think it's okay. Thor: The Dark World, I know a lot of people hate. I think it's okay.
Sorry, Loki.
So Guardians 2, I was a little worried going into, even though I shouldn't have been. And I think initially I was like, I had a strange feeling about it. I was like, oh, this was all right. But watching it subsequently and now watching it again, it just reaffirms how much I love it. Mainly because of the characters, the story it tells, and the relationships between them. A lot of them hit home.
Yeah.
And I can relate to. I like that they focus this movie, and I think as an inspiration or not, in Infinity War, something similar was they focused on character pairings. It was never really somebody by themselves. It was always people playing off of each other. And I think that really works here because with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, last year when I rewatched all the Marvel movies going to Infinity War, Guardians 1 hit me weird. Because I was like, I don't know if it's because I've seen this before so many times, or if it was just I knew all the jokes, or if I watched it pretty recently. But it was weird. And 2, I was like, oh, this is clearly the better one. And now, I think seeing Guardians 2, seeing how it treats them as a team, and is more focused on them as a team and their relationships with other people, is... It's better to revisit than having an introduction to these characters the first time.
Yeah. I mean, I love this movie. I don't really know if I'll have anything bad to say about it. And I think I love it so much because I like movies that focus on like character development and more connecting the audience with the characters, because Guardians 1 was very plot driven. So it was the plot kind of driving the character development, and Guardians 2 was character development driving the plot. And I think I like that a lot better, and I think these characters are very easy to relate to and to connect to, and you kind of feel like you're friends with them too. And
they're all broken, and they all have a unique, obvious flaw to them.
Yeah.
Where I feel like it's easy for people to be like, oh, hey, I can relate to the obliviousness of Drax, or the super serious appearance of Gamora, or Rocket's fear of love.
I mean, yeah, like Gamora, like super empowering for me. I think this was probably the first time I looked at a woman in the MCU and thought, like, this woman is empowering, and I love her, and I want to be her, and she inspires me. And I think that is really refreshing, and why I love Gamora so much, because she's a badass.
She is. So, I think the reason I like Guardians 2 so much, with the characters being the forefront, it's a similar issue I have with the Avengers movies, where the first Avengers I feel like doesn't hold up super well because of... it's so focused on the fact of them meeting each other for the first time, where it is so focused on the interplay between them, just like Guardians 2, but where Avengers fails, I feel like, is their relationship is very much the whole, oh, this is my first time bouncing off
movie,
you.
Yeah.
Where
Been there, done that.
Yeah. And Age of Ultron I really love because it takes that group of characters, and says, okay, they're established, here's what they are, this is the best it gets for them, this is like the peak of them, this is everything that should be happening for an Avengers team working together. And I think that dynamic of it, like I said with Guardians, the reason I like it because of the characters, the reason I like Ultron a lot is because it's focusing on the characters being able to work and function together.
I just love watching just that character. I mean, like when Guardians 2 starts off, you just have Drax just like being a complete idiot, and he's screaming and laughing, just having a good time. And that was a moment in the movie I was like, okay, like I am here for this. I'm here for connecting to the characters. And I mean, I guess I could critique this movie and say that there isn't a plot. It's more, like I said, it's more we're developing characters and we're gonna add some little sequences in here that connect, and we're gonna kind of make a main goal, but every little pairing has its own main goal. So I think that, I know that's other people's main critique, and I agree. I just very much love this movie.
You mentioned the opening. Why don't we start getting into details of the opening?
Okay.
So the opening, it's strange seeing Kurt Russell de-aged right after seeing Sam Jackson de-aged for a full movie and looking flawless.
Kurt Russell looks like a Barbie doll. He looks plastic.
Kinda, yeah. Like I don't think it's bad, but it's noticeable. Where it's like it's like
he just looks plastic.
The way I saw it was like, I know you're trying to trick me. It's believable, but I know you're tricking me.
Yeah.
And again, when we just saw Captain Marvel, it was like, this is Samuel L. Jackson ripped out of Pulp Fiction and thrown into this movie.
Oh, yeah, I completely. It looked so good.
Yeah. Which is crazy because that's not that far time-wise, you know? Because I think Guardians 2 came out 2017.
Yeah. Yes.
And then Rogue One had that full CG Leia. And like Jack and I talked about this on the Captain Marvel review. It was really impressive, but that sort of kicks everything off. You see Peter's mom and Ego. And then we get into the Guardians plot. So I like the intro because, like the space intro.
Yeah.
Because I think it's funny that they, like any movie could have been, oh, we're bigger, we're better because it's just the sequel and it made so much money the first time. So we're going to have so much more CG, all these other cool things. And they kind of do that, but they throw a twist at you because instead of focusing on the giant tentacle CG monster, which does look pretty good, like one of the better.
A ton of money. Was I not supposed to say that?
You're not supposed to, but
bleep me out.
So it's a pretty good looking like CG thing, you know, like comparatively.
It's good looking
to most of Marvel, and the seeing that sort of be brushed aside and just focusing on Baby Groot dancing around, I thought was cute, and it adds to the whole Guardians vibe of just being kind of their own little world.
Yeah, I mean, when I watch this movie, I completely forget about the Missouri opening scene because I just like love the Guardians intro so much. I love that song. It's so good. It really gets you into the movie and into the vibe. And yeah,
it became a meme.
It became a meme?
Yeah. When the movie came out, it was just a song. Mr. Blue Sky became a meme.
It's a meme.
Yeah, you know,
like Africa.
To a lesser extent, it's like people cut like a bunch of pictures of popular memes to the beat of Mr. Blue Sky.
I've never seen that meme.
So like what you see, it's like a bunch of memes of
doesn't sound
just
very
memes.
Funny.
It's like dun 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 dun, and every time it like hits the beat, it changes to a different meme. You never seen that?
No, I haven't.
I'll show you one of these later.
Okay. But yeah, I just love that part, and like your attention is on Baby Groot, and he's so cute. And you know, like Quill face plants in front of him, and Drax like lands right behind him, and Baby Groot like freezes because it's so funny because
carryover joke.
What?
Carryover joke from the first Guardians.
What joke is that?
In the post credits when they're doing Jackson 5 and Baby Groot's dancing in the pot, every time Drax looks over at him, he freezes.
Oh, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's funnier. I totally forgot. But yeah, so he's just having a good time and grooving, and you immediately get the tone of the movie. Everyone else is fighting the back, and he just like avoids everything. He fights like that little mini lizard, and like he's like so small and very cute. And even Gamora like stops and Baby Groot like waves to her, and she's like, "Hi!" She like goes back to fighting. It's so funny because he's so oblivious, and I think that very much captures Guardians. I think it's funny.
Definitely, yeah. So that pretty much kicks off the entire movie, and that's where the conflict with the gold people. I'm forgetting the name of their race.
I think they're annoying, so I don't care what their name is.
Yeah, they're kind of.
I don't remember either.
Their whole plot, I kind of care less about. I mean, at the end with the post-credit scene, it's clear that they're setting up.
Oh, speaking of that part, when when Rocket steals the batteries or something, no, I don't know. And Quill's like, they're Anulax batteries, and Jax is like, Harbulary batteries. He's like, that's not what I said.
Yeah, it's interesting with all the jokes that you've highlighted so far, because I feel like Guardians combined with the first and this one, it's more my humor.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's very dry, it's very referential,
it's
and
stupid.
yeah, and like, this is personal, like, the funniest stuff from Marvel I feel like is in these two movies.
Yeah.
Ragnarok is very funny, and I know people
Yeah.
think Ragnarok's the funniest Marvel movie, and we're going to talk about Ragnarok more a little later, probably, making comparisons. But yeah, I like Ragnarok. I think it's funny, but the humor that I would make jokes like, and the stuff that I think is funnier, is in the Guardians movies.
Yeah.
And one of my other criticisms for Guardians 2 is, as much as I like the humor, not everything lands, I feel like. Like, some of the stuff I did laugh at, but it was more of like an awkward laugh, like a pity laugh, and like the poop joke.
Okay.
I thought wasn't that funny. I know you like poop jokes, but
I am one for a good poop joke, and that was a good poop joke.
it wasn't.
He said turd. The whole thing is that he calls it a turd.
I know,
if he
but
called it like a poop, not funny. Turd, funny.
No.
Thank you, Guardians writers.
Well, the thing is, I feel like part of that is Drax, like, because Drax's character is like dry and he doesn't understand like sarcasm and stuff. So I feel like a lot of the time when a joke goes too far, or if it's like we get it, you know, a lot of the time the end of that is on Drax. So I feel like that's part of the reason why I like Drax. I like him probably more in the first one. His humor, at least.
Really?
Yeah, like more. I think his delivery of some of the dry humor jokes in the first one are better. About like the dictionary or the thesaurus flying over his head. He's like, my reflexes are too fast. I would catch it. Like, stuff like that is funnier than him screaming and being like, I have big poops. To me, at least. But
I think it's pretty funny. I love Drax. The only joke in Guardians 2 that doesn't do it for me is Taserface.
I think there's good moments, but it goes on way too long.
Too long.
Like, I like how Rocket uses it against him, because he's kind of like, he has no other option, and that's very much Rocket. But the only time I thought it was funny, like when I genuinely thought the Taserface joke and someone laughing at it was funny, outside of like Rocket's fake laugh was funny, to a point where it's not like ha funny, but like, oh, this is humorous.
Yeah, you're like, this is awkward.
The one that I did think was funny was when that whole sequence is ending and he calls the gold people, and he's about to die,
and
she was like, like she just starts like trying to hold back laughter as the guy's dying. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's funny.
I don't know.
The Taserface thing.
It's not. Yeah, that's the joke that fell short for me. And
they
probably
just
the
say
only
Taserface
one.
too many times.
They do. It's like, it's not even a funny name. Like, if you told me your name was Taserface, I'd be like, you're a goddamn idiot.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the way they reacted.
But I wouldn't think it was funny.
Yeah. Yeah. So another criticism that I feel like we should talk about and just see what we think.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't like Nebula.
Oh, that would be me.
Yeah.
That would be me. I'm warming up to the idea of Nebula, but she annoys me. I think it's because when her character was first introduced, like, her and Gamora didn't have a strong enough backstory, and we didn't understand Nebula enough yet, which I understand, like, completely as, like, a story development thing. I just, like, didn't catch on to it, and she talks in, like, that really low voice, and it's really annoying. She always so serious. She's like, it's not ripe.
Yeah, the ripe joke I didn't like.
It's not ripe.
I don't like the not ripe joke.
She's always like, oh my god.
I mean, I like Karen Gillan, and I just like her in other things she's been in, and I don't dislike Nebula as a character per se, but we mentioned character pairings. I feel like the pairing of her and Gamora I liked because it was the sisterly thing, and I thought that was like good development for Gamora on top of Nebula. But yeah, that was the one I probably was the least invested in. I did like that arc though.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like sisters, everyone can relate, but I just think Nebula had so many opportunities to die, and Gamora never took the opportunity. I'm just like, girly, when are you gonna do it?
Well, I mean, like Gamora's the older sister, and she's like, I know she's just like younger than me, and I know you don't have siblings, but
Oh,
growing up with siblings and being like, they just need like time to figure things out, you know,
yeah.
like dealing with it like that. So I thought that was fine. But the other character pairings, like Rocket and Yondu,
Rocket and Yondu are the best.
and even they have Baby Groot and Kraglin too. I like that whole group.
Oh.
Peter and his dad,
Yep.
Drax and Mantis. Am I forgetting anyone? Those are the pairings,
No,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Is there one of those you want to talk about?
Yondu and Rocket, like I just said, is my favorite
Mhm.
because I think, like they say in the movie, they are the same person. And they just really bounce off each other well, and you know, like they understand each other without having to say anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool. You have this like blue guy and a raccoon. It's like an interesting pairing you would never think of, and it works really, really well. And Yondu brings out Rocket's soft side, to be honest, because they are the same person, and Rocket like is looking in a mirror essentially, and his sensitive side comes out, and when Yondu dies, he's like, he cries. The last shot is Rocket crying, and that is totally unlike him. So I think, and I love Rocket so much, so I like that side of him came out. He's so cute.
Yeah, I think Yondu's character is probably the heart of the movie. Because, yeah, like, the thing with Peter, like, the focus on Peter and his relationship with his dad is, like, the drawing point, because that is such a relatable thing that, like, Star Wars has done it. A million other movies have done that before.
Overdone.
But what I think makes it interesting and makes it go beyond just being a trope for a movie like this is Yondu's character and his role in Peter's life. And the whole, you know, he may be your father, but he wasn't your daddy. Like, that whole thing.
Yeah.
I think that is very hard-hitting.
Yeah, I love that line.
Yeah, that Yondu's character and like the end of the movie hits me so hard.
He had the biggest like arc
For sure,
out of anyone.
The first time I saw it, I wept. Like, actually. And even when I watched it again a couple days ago, I was like teary-eyed because it's just so relatable, it's so impactful emotionally, and seeing him redeem himself by giving his life for Peter.
Yeah.
And then the funeral at the end, which is just beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Like the CG, the fireworks,
the
song.
colors are gorgeous.
Yeah, everything I love about the ending. So next up on the pairing, do you want to talk about Peter and his dad next?
Yeah, I can do that. It's not my favorite pairing, but I mean, it drives the movie.
Yeah, it's like he's the main character, so obviously
I love
they're going to
Peter.
spend some time there. I wish Peter got more time with the other Guardians in this one.
Yeah, I guess he is with his dad a lot.
Yeah, because like even with Ego doesn't have much screen time, like one-on-one with anybody else. It's just Peter.
Yeah.
And not many of them do have one-on-one with each other. Like Peter and Gamora have some scenes together. I would have.
Jackson Mantis.
I meant like Peter specifically. Like Peter is the one who only has like Peter and Drax really only have that one at the beginning. Peter and Rocket, I don't think have any one-on-one moments.
Yeah, not
like there's people there with them when they have direct dialogue with each
Yeah.
other, but nothing like where you can actually just like sit down and like talk to him.
Yeah.
I wish for setting things up further, I liked Peter and Gamora, and I like how she I like her character's relationship to Peter where we are now.
Yeah.
But the it was weird. I was thinking about it because I feel like they do a bit of a jump from the fight they have when they're screaming at each other, and she's like, "I don't know what cheers is."
I don't know, cheers.
Which I love. I love that they kept up the whole.
So funny.
Yeah, the obliviousness to Earth references that Peter makes. And I think it's funny that the more we see of those, the more it's like, oh, Peter only has like probably like 4 years worth of pop culture knowledge to make references to. But yeah, they kind of make a jump. I know they go through a traumatic fight at the end, but like they go from that fight, not talking to each other, to the next time they're on screen together, she's basically saying I love you.
Yeah.
Which
so cute.
I know. I wish they had one small, like even a small moment, like a nod or something where they can like have some sort of to make it feel earned, not just like we knew it was coming, and at the end it's just like, oh yeah, there it is. It's not like there was nothing that hinted towards it after the fight where she was really adamant against Peter.
I mean, I kind of disagree with that because during the fight, when that something exploded and Peter was there, she was like obviously really worried, and she was like Peter, and like she had like kind of teary-eyed, and she was worried. So I think maybe that was what they were going for, but
yeah, maybe I just wish they had one more thing together.
Yeah.
Instead of, because I do see where you're coming from with saying like her concern.
It's unspoken,
and Rocket had
it's some unspoken thing.
Yeah, they could have done something though, like anything.
I don't know. Wait, also, I know this is off topic, but the joke during that fight scene with the tape is the funniest joke in that entire movie.
See, the tape is one of the instances where they have a joke that goes on for a while, and
it's so
funny. Yeah.
He's like, Gamora, you got any tape? And then Rocket's like, did you ask Nebula? He's like, yes.
He's like, no, you didn't.
Yeah, no, you didn't ask Nebula.
And one of the times where like Drax does extend a joke and it's funny is when Peter's like, Drax, do you have tape? He's like, yeah, Scotch tape would work. Then why would you ask me? Like that stuff is funny. So yeah, but Peter and his dad makes up a decent chunk of the movie. I like, again, it's cheesy, but I like some of the scenes they have together. Like I like them playing catch together.
The ball, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, everyone can relate to playing ball with a parent when they were younger, especially a father. And yeah, I feel like that hits home for everyone. And it's like, of course they would. And Peter nodded to it earlier in the movie, so it was inevitable that would happen. And I really liked it. I think it's cheesy.
Yeah, it is.
It's not like this is cheesy and it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's not like it's cheesy and they're trying to make it be like, oh, don't you guys care? It's more cheesy, and it's like, we know, but like we're making it like a space energy ball, and they're playing baseball on a planet that's his dad, and they're using like blue light to play catch. Like, yeah, they know, you know.
Yeah.
But speaking of that too, I think this is one of, if not the best looking Marvel movies.
Yeah, it definitely
for
is.
CG at least. Like, yeah. I think some other movies' cinematography is better, but the way they shoot it, it never looks like they're on a set, even though they clearly are.
It doesn't.
The CG is very impressive. All
Ego's
the stuff on Ego,
is beautiful. It's kind of like a Dr. Seuss kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, the colors, but it's like better.
Yeah. And then there's that weird desert part.
Desert. When Gamora.
Like Gamora's in there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, where's that?
Yeah,
because everything looks so lush and beautiful.
I was confused. That was a continuity thing for me. I was wondering, like, how far did she go? Yeah. Now she's in a cave. Like, how did Nebula find...
Yeah, maybe it's like on the... I think... This is just me trying to remember, like, spatial stuff, but I think it's behind his, like, castle. Because I remember that's where... the Kraglin has the ship at the end, and then Drax is bringing Mantis to it, and he falls in the quicksand.
Yes.
So it's like it's still desert.
Oh yeah.
It's like the front of his castle is still beautiful and everything.
Yeah, but behind, ooh, that's kind of deep. Ooh, I think we might have just uncovered something.
Maybe.
Beautiful on the outside, Kurt Russell, and dark and dusty on the inside.
Yeah, that reveal too, I feel like also goes beyond the whole movie being, or like the main point of it being like full of tropes and all stuff. Because the reveal of, oh, I killed your mom,
that was big.
What I love is his reaction.
Yeah.
Like, not a second hesitation, just immediately pulls out his gun and kills him.
Oh yeah. And I think, again, like I said, that establishes his character so well, because we see that again in Infinity War. I don't want to like talk about what you're going to talk about later, but you do see that, and
it's consistent with him, at least.
Yeah, it's his character. And what did he say? He was like, the ending scene, you shouldn't have killed my mother and squished my Walkman.
Yeah. Who else haven't we talked about yet? We've talked about... Let's talk about Drax and Mantis.
Drax and Mantis, yeah.
So, Dave Bautista, former WWE champion, good wrestler.
Love him.
He is... I don't think... And he knows this. He's not the best actor. He's pretty good.
He's good.
He's I will say, out of all the wrestlers that have transitioned into Hollywood, he's the best actor. The Rock is the most successful.
You think Dave Bautista's a better actor than Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
Yes.
My father? Are you kidding me? You have to have some respect.
No, The Rock, because what I'm saying is The Rock is more successful because he's a bigger name. But The Rock has like the charisma, and that's like skin deep, you know? Like, I haven't seen The Rock pull off a performance that is really deep and good. I've seen him try, but like Dave Bautista,
Okay.
I feel like is a better actor, and because the thing is he knows his strengths and he doesn't try to exceed them. But like with James Gunn knows his strengths, and he can position him in a place where he functions better than he would if he was just thrown out to it, you know?
All right. Well, I love Dave Bautista.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's very well spoken in real life.
Mm-hmm.
And Drax is like one of my favorites.
Yeah, Drax is really
He's
good.
hilarious.
I know I was like saying poo-poo things about Drax.
Poo-poo.
But I love Drax in the first one, and I think he's really good in this. I think he has the downfall of having a lot of the jokes thrown onto him to really like
it's funny.
To end, but like what we talked about of some jokes going on too long. But the thing I like the most about Drax in this movie is the relationship he has with Mantis.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a scene when they're looking out at the pools, and I think that's also one of the really emotional scenes where it's established that Mantis can use her powers to feel for people, change their emotions, and like live through them, kind of. So you see Drax looking at this beautiful place, beautiful scenery, and he's talking about his wife and his daughter.
Yeah.
And Mantis just touches him, and then she just starts like tears
crying,
flowing down her face. So I think that was really powerful, and because they show Mantis crying, and you can still hear her, and then it just lingers on Drax, just has like a solemn stone face.
Yeah.
I think that was really powerful because you're using Mantis's abilities and Palm Clementif's skill as an actor, which is arguably more dynamic than Dave Bautista's. So instead of having Dave Bautista cry, which would be out of character, you get it through Mantis, which I thought was very powerful.
That was such a good idea on their part. And I mean, I feel like Drax could be one of the deepest characters because he has such a dark background, and he's obviously still in pain from losing his family, but he's the one who's cracking the jokes, and he's always smiling. He's always happy. I feel like when Drax is on screen, you're smiling. So I think, in an unexpected way, Drax could be one of the deepest characters of the Guardians.
Yeah, I think the Guardians as a team really are pretty deep. Like Peter, I know a lot of what makes him deep is the parent issues, like his mom and his dad. Gamora, similarly, like her dad's Thanos.
Yeah.
But she was basically a child soldier.
Yeah.
Rocket is a mutant, like test subject, lab experiment. Drax lost his family. Groot was reborn.
Wait, Rocket, very sensitive to the raccoon comments, even though he is a raccoon. I think that's hilarious. And I love when Mantis is like, "Can I pet your puppy? He's so cute." And Drax is like, "Yes, you can." And he bites her.
Yeah, that was good too. Like, I like the interplay, like I said, between a lot of them.
Yeah. Oh, and when Quill calls Rocket a trash panda, and Rocket's like, "Is that better than being called a raccoon?"
So I think we covered all the characters, right? We did
all
Nebula and Gamora, Peter and his dad, Yondu and Rocket.
Yeah.
Baby Groot was big in the marketing. He's a big selling point.
It's very cute.
Sells a lot of toys. I've seen someone at the one of the eatery establishments at my campus has a Baby Groot tattoo.
Oh my gosh!
When he's wearing the Ravager outfit.
That is adorable.
So what is your...
Oh, sorry, no, go.
I was going to say, what's your favorite Baby Groot moment?
Okay, that's what I was going to say. When Rocket and Yondu are in jail, and they're trying to get Groot to give Yondu the fin, and he doesn't. Yeah. He brings back, like, a severed toe. And that eye, convinced it reappears in Thor Ragnarok. Not Thor Ragnarok.
Infinity War.
Infinity War.
Maybe.
I also love that Rocket collects eyes. I have a theory that in every single Marvel movie they make in a comment about a severed eye. That's my theory. But I love that scene with Baby Groot.
Well, in every Phase 2 movie, somebody lost an arm. That
Yeah,
was an
exactly.
homage
So
to
I'm
Star Wars.
not unreasonable for thinking this.
Yeah, maybe. Like, it could very well be Phase 3 has eyes in all of them. I don't know. We've only watched we've only watched Civil War, Doctor Strange, and now Guardians. I guess Captain Marvel also counts as...
It does. They do have an eye. They have an array of eyes.
So who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd have to look deeper into that, but you may have something
Do my
there.
research. I'm on to you. What's your favorite Baby Groot moment?
When he throws up. I just think it's funny because they use the old rule of threes from comedy a lot in this movie.
Yeah.
Sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't, but the idea is like you bring up a joke, you establish it, you bring it back a second time, and it's like, oh yeah, that's when they said that. Then you wait, and then you bring it back a third time, and it's supposed to be even funnier because of like you've been building up to it. So when Rocket, Yondu, Kraglin, and Groot are warping through the jump points, and there's like 970 of them they go through. The first time they go through it, when they cut and they're like, they just jump through, and he says, you shouldn't do this. Then we cut back to stuff on Ego.
Yeah.
It takes a little while. You cut back, and it's them jumping still. And it's like, oh, they've still been going. And then it goes back to some other event, and then it cuts back a third time. It's like, oh, wow, they're still going. And then it just, like, stops. And then it cuts to everybody just, like, crazy out of it because they've been being stretched around and, like, weird transportation stuff. And it just cuts to Groot, and he's just like, bleh.
Yeah, the vomit.
Yeah, it's so funny because he's, like, smiling. He's just like, eh. I think that's really funny. But a nicer Baby Groot moment at the end is when the funeral's happening for Yondu. Peter and him are listening to the Cat Stevens song, Father and Son, and
the parallels.
Yeah, I think that's nice too because there's a moment in this movie where Drax says we're family.
Yeah.
And I believe it, and there's so many times in other movies like this, even the first Guardians, where someone has a line like that, and I'm like, okay, sure. Because even in Guardians 1, it was like, after the point where they made up a little bit, and they storm Ronan's ship, and he blows up Nebula for talking smack to Gamora. He's like, nobody talks to my friends that way. It's like, really? Are you friends? You tried to kill her like 20 minutes ago, like friends. But when he says family in this one, I believe it because of everything they've gone through. They're pretty much caring for a baby together.
I think in that respect that Baby Groot is overlooked for how much he connects the Guardians.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I mean, like with a family, like when you start a family, the first thing you do is what? You get a dog. You have a kid. Like that's the first thing that like Baby Groot glues them together.
Yeah, for sure. And I like at the end when they have a moment to breathe and they're like mourning Yondu and everything, and it's a beautiful scene with all the fireworks, the colors, and they're just passing around.
Yeah.
That's very nice, and it's very heartwarming, and it unites them all.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I like that part too.
So.
Beyond a puke joke.
Yeah, it's such a nice contrast. And yeah.
So. We should talk about the soundtrack because we haven't talked much about the soundtrack.
Okay, I have so many thoughts on the soundtrack. Okay,
before we get into it, do you like this soundtrack more than the Guardians 1 soundtrack?
I do like this soundtrack better. I think the songs go better together, and I just knew more of them going into the movie.
Okay.
They're like the two movie soundtracks are very different vibes, but also the same. I think Guardians 2 has a little bit more of like a rock beat.
Okay.
And yeah, so I think I like the soundtrack better.
Okay.
I listen to it every single day. I listened to it today. I listened to it yesterday.
I'm not sure which one I like better. I think outside of Fleetwood Mac and George Harrison, this soundtrack put my attention to more artists I was unfamiliar with. Where Guardians 1, there was way more people I knew beforehand going in, like Redbone and David Bowie, Jackson 5.
Yeah, I'm looking at the playlist right now.
Yeah, so and there were some bigger songs from the first one, but the first time I saw Guardians, immediately I bought the soundtrack, and I've never done that for any movie.
Yeah, so good.
It's really good, but this one, over time, I've liked it a little more. I feel like I definitely go back and listen to songs from Volume 2 more.
I mean, yeah. And I don't know if this is just because I study music in school and it's what I do, but I honestly think if these movies didn't have the soundtrack they have, I wouldn't like them nearly as much.
Yeah.
I think the soundtrack makes the movie.
I wouldn't go that far, but I do think it adds a lot of character.
I think it does.
James Gunn and Guardians 1 and everything about that movie, the colors, the soundtrack, really teed up space for Marvel.
Yeah.
Because if you see a screenshot from one of these movies and you see a screenshot from a Star Wars movie, it would be easy to say like which one is Marvel's space.
Yeah.
The way they show space, portray it, because of the colors, the vibe you get, the soundtrack. I feel like is a part of that too. Because a lot of movies after the fact that deal with the cosmic side of Marvel do have at least one popular song. Like Captain Marvel has some 90s music that has a good soundtrack.
Yeah.
Thor Ragnarok also similar vibes, but it has the immigrant song. And with Thor, it's like they're not in space, but like he's in Asgard and different places, and it's more about Thor's character.
Yeah, the song's definitely established the vibe.
I think that adds to the whole cosmic thing. So like it would be weird if there was a space cosmic Marvel movie that didn't have
those type of songs.
At least a song. You know?
And
because like even Infinity War, which is a super serious, heavy movie to some extent, has Guardians introduced with a song.
And I don't know, that's the best part of Infinity War for me, when it's a serious scene and Rubber Band Man comes in, and you're like, oh, hell yeah, and the Guardians come in their ship and everyone's dancing, and you're like, yes, love this soundtrack. But like for Guardians 2, I mean, Brandy drives the movie. That is like the theme of the movie, and it's reoccurring. You see it in the first scene, and Ego keeps repeating it, and even like Peter obviously knows it because he's listened to it from his mom. And that song like drives the entire movie, and that's why I think the soundtrack is so like goes hand in hand with the plot. And also something I was thinking of the other morning that I was like, I'm so clever for thinking of this, that I think, like, again, going off of my point that this movie wouldn't be the same without the soundtrack, like the mixtapes, Peter's mixtapes are like his motivation in a way, because the mixtapes connect him to his mother, which is like his main thing and his main like internal and external conflict. And so essentially these mixtapes drive his motivation. So I think it works so well that like it only makes sense for the mixtapes to drive the plot as well, because it drives Peter and they drive the plot.
Thematically, you mean not like driving the plot of like...
No, like overall themes.
Like they have shown instances where,
whatever, right?
Like in the first one, there was the prison guard who stole his Walkman, and that like was another like
he's
spawned
so
its own
connected
scene about
to
it.
I think it only makes sense that like Peter is so connected to it, and the audience becomes so connected to the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that was my big epiphany, and I was like, oh, this is good.
They used the chain twice.
Yes.
And they haven't done that. Well, I think they used Brandy twice also.
Yeah. No, they use Brandy like throughout.
No, I mean like they only put Brandy twice. They play it at the beginning.
Oh, but I mean they like Ego quotes it.
Right, but he's listening to it when he's quoting it.
Oh yeah.
Because he's listening to it after Gamora left, and he's just listening to it in that room that he's in, and then his dad comes in and he's like talking about the meaning of the song and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But so they use that twice, and they use the chain twice, which is interesting because they never use, unless I'm blanking on a moment from the first movie, they never use the song twice. Yeah. Brandy is interesting because it's pretty much the same part of the song both times, and the first time it's used is to introduce the movie and Peter's parents. The second time it's when Peter's dad is talking about more of his motivations and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, just to throw this in here, at the beginning his mom is singing it and like everything is fine with the world, and it's like this is a groovy song, and then the second time we see it, his dad is speaking it, and the song becomes creepy, and you realize that it describes like Peter and Gamora and Ego, and it just becomes like creepy and weird at that point.
Yeah, I don't know if I got a creepy vibe from it, but I definitely got a, like, oh, James Gunn knew what he was doing,
Yeah.
when he picked that song. And then with the chain, the two instances where they use it is when they're, like, leaving and there's the slow-mo shot of them leaving the ship, leaving Rocket.
To go to Ego's planet.
Yeah, and the second time is when he stands up to his dad at the end. And I saw someone bring up at one point that a theme, which I don't necessarily agree with, but one of the themes of Guardians 2 is cutting off, like, breaking the chains of toxic family members. So the first time you hear the chain, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I feel like that might be used as a way to highlight 2 points where that does happen, but I don't think that's the whole movie, because, like, Gamora and Nebula's whole plot is about rejoining together and becoming better with each other.
The song is that we will never break the chain.
Yeah. But, like, it's used when, like, Peter's going off to his dad and then when he's about to kill his dad.
Yeah.
Like, those are the two instances where it gets used.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say the chain, a way of interpreting it is, like, family value, family bonds.
Yeah. Something like that.
I've never thought of that before. Looking at the chain playing twice, like, right away, when it played again, I, like, couldn't make immediate connection. Like, I knew it was playing again, but I didn't know why, and it was hard to connect it at first.
Yeah.
But now that we're kind of thinking about it.
One of my favorite uses of music in this, I know we've already highlighted a handful of them, but probably my favorite, maybe in my top 3 action sequences in the entire MCU is when they're on the Ravager ship, Yondu and Rocket escape, and then Yondu's just using his arrow.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And come a little bit closer. Is
yes.
the song playing? Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
I love that song. I listened to it today. Like the whole song.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite uses, just because it's a really cool action sequence. It's satisfying after seeing them locked up, unable to do anything for so long, and then Yondu's just using an extension of himself to wipe out the entire thing. It's like, oh, he could have done this so easily.
It's, like, ironic, too, because the song's about, like, one person, like, come a little bit closer, and, like, in this scene, there's just, like, endless bodies, like, falling from the sky, so.
Just mass murder. Yeah, I like that scene a lot, though. That's one of my favorite action pieces.
Me too. So good. And, like, when I listen to that song outside of seeing the movie, I, like, picture that scene in my head. It, like, left such an impact.
Yeah. Good uses of slow-mo.
Oh,
in Guardians too.
Yes.
I feel like a lot of movies don't use slow-mo well, if at all, anymore.
Good slow-mo.
I feel like I rarely see slow-mo ever anymore.
Yeah.
And, like, even when I do see it, it's never really used incredibly well, but this, I liked it because they were using it to highlight the characters. Like, there was, when the chain played the first time, it was them leaving the ship and walking, and it was just the group walking in slow-mo. Again, the slow-mo and come a little bit closer was Yondu and Rocket on the path on the little bridge in the ship. A couple other times, I can't think of all of them, but
yeah, I don't remember
there were some good
any
uses.
others outside of that.
I told Jack last week this was going to be a very positive episode because neither of us have many issues with this movie.
No.
I feel like sometimes I can't judge these two super fairly because I just care about the character so much and it's so relatable, and both of them have a special place in my heart.
Yeah, and we agree, so it's not like there's no
I am glad we got to highlight the music though, because
me too.
I feel like that's such a big deal,
and
it is. We barely touched on that when we talked about the first Guardians. So I'm glad, especially with this one, because like Peter and his dad, his mom, the music is all very tied together.
And I mean, another connection I made just really quick, when they play My Sweet Lord by George Harrison, I was thinking like they're going to new like Ego's planet, kind of like a new beginning type thing for Peter. And George Harrison, that was like after he had broke away from the Beatles, and that was his new beginning.
Oh, that's cool.
So, I made the connection. Nice. I'm very proud of myself. Thank you.
That's very good. Yeah. But yeah, I do think it's, from a technical standpoint. Sorry. I do think it's a beautiful film with the CG. I do think it's like up there with Doctor Strange as the best uses of CG. Grand scheme, like all things considered. Like, there might not be anything in this movie that looks as good as Thanos does, but
Okay.
Infinity War has some stinker moments of CG.
Yeah.
Like,
More than Guardians 2.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I feel
I
like
would say.
Guardians 2 is more consistent,
Yeah.
especially all the stuff on Ego's planet, the colors too.
Yeah, beautiful.
So.
That pink. Mm.
Is there any other negative you feel like we should touch on with this movie that seems to be a recurring one from a lot of people?
I feel like we got everything. Maybe that's just me because I love this movie and
Mm-hmm.
don't have anything bad to say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I feel like there's something, but again, it's my biggest negatives with it are I feel like some of the humor doesn't land.
Okay. Disagree.
Some of the humor doesn't land. The way they use Drax, I feel like is hit or miss, even though I love Drax.
Disagree.
I do think it goes beyond its tropes.
It does. It does tropes very well.
Yeah.
I mean, in my classes, we always learn to, use a trope and then put a twist on it, and they put a twist on every single one of them.
Yeah, especially him. Because if you want to talk about a twist, and I feel like we can close it out on this, the moment when we touched on this earlier, but when he reveals that he's the one who killed his mom,
Yeah.
it's like, oh,
Yeah.
like the second
that's
he's
a
the
father-son twist you don't see coming.
yeah, the first time he said that, I was like, oh, this isn't gonna go well. The first time I saw the movie, but yeah, that is something that again, credit to James Gunn. He's made 2 very good movies.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, that's sad, but I kind of want to close it out on that. So we see where the Guardians are now.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about Infinity War much, just because of spoilers if people are following along. Technically, in our minds, in our rankings, we don't know what Infinity War is because we haven't seen it yet in the lineup. But Guardians 3 is, to my knowledge, on hold indefinitely. Like, Kevin Feige said, again, very recently, he said this again, that they're going to be using James Gunn's script.
Yeah.
Right now, we know James Gunn is working with DC to make Suicide Squad 2, which I'm excited for because it's like going to be a good one probably.
Yeah.
If he's involved.
Sad.
Dave Bautista might be joining that little film.
Oh.
So, yeah. Guardians, the state of the Guardians now. What do you feel? Do you want to see Guardians 3 with another director, or what do you think?
I think my thing is, if Guardians 3 is going to be like fall short and be like a Thor the Dark World type deal, and if Dave Bautista isn't there, and if it's like different, I would rather not have it. Like I really don't want to see it fall apart. I don't want to have a director that can't do the same exact thing that James Gunn did, and I would just rather not have a Guardians 3 than see it like just go down the tubes.
That's where I'm standing right now, and I feel like that's where I'm going to be standing unless they hire James Gunn again.
Yeah.
Because it could be argued, and there probably is some validity to this, that if you brought a new director in, Guardians 3 could be even better than the first 2. Like, there is an argument there that could be had there. I know a lot of people... It really could. Like I said, Guardians 2 is pretty hit or miss with people.
Yeah.
So I feel like having someone new for Guardians 3 could do something that makes it even better for everybody. I don't know if I necessarily want that, though.
Yeah.
Because, like, James Gunn has a clear vision with these characters. He's the one who established what cinematic Marvel space is.
He really did. He not only space, but I think humor, too.
I wouldn't say humor. I feel like
Guardians humor, obviously.
Maybe. I don't know. Like, the way that certain aspects are treated now and, like, the team dynamic, maybe. I don't know if I'd say full-on humor, because I feel like Iron Man, Ant-Man all had...
Yeah, they have their own
humor that was very influential. But, yeah, with Guardians 3, like, I know everybody thinks they're clever and is like, oh, Taika Waititi should do Guardians 3 because he made the best Guardians movie with Ragnarok. I don't agree with that. I think that's pretty foolish to say.
Foolish.
I like Taika Waititi a lot. I'd love to see him make another Thor movie. I don't want to see him do Guardians because while on the surface there are a lot of similarities with colors and tone and stuff like that, I do think from the humor, the way you care about the characters, it's very distinct. Guardians, I would say, is more wholesome, where Thor is more irreverent.
Yeah.
Which, again, I'm not saying it's a bad
I
thing.
would say that.
But Guardians, I want that sort of tone, that attitude to be preserved. And I feel like there are very few people that could maintain that.
Yeah.
You know? And the Russos, I thought they did a good job with the Guardians in Infinity War. I don't know how much James Gunn was involved with that.
Yeah. So if they could do it well, I would let them do. Like, I would be okay with letting them do Guardians. Well, I don't let them. Why did I say that twice?
Well, the thing I was going to say with bringing up the Russos is the fact that they said they're kind of done with Marvel after Endgame, unless Marvel does. I think the specific quote is they would love to make an X-Men movie, and they said,
oh man,
if when Marvel wants to do Secret Wars, which is a storyline involving the Skrulls and invasion of the Marvel universe, they said if Marvel wants to do that, they would come back for that.
Okay.
But that's all they said at the moment.
Oh my gosh.
And I feel like they probably want to take a break because they've gone on a bender for Marvel.
They have.
I feel like they have been working for Marvel ever since Civil War, like just nonstop.
Like ever since I was born.
Well, actually, no, because they've been working ever since Winter Soldier. Because Winter Soldier went straight into Civil War, and Civil War since then, there's probably a break in between those two, but Civil War, they've just been all focused on Avengers movies.
My dad's.
So
everyone's my dad in the MCU.
I believe it's time to rank Guardians of the Galaxy.
Let me get.
Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
You go first.
Okay. My list is very fluid, as I've established on the show before. I've already moved some things around a little bit. Captain Marvel I've moved already.
I did too.
Interesting.
I did as well.
So 16 movies so far. Number 16 is The Incredible Hulk. Number 15 is Thor: The Dark World. Number 14 is Iron Man 2. Number 13 is Captain America: The First Avenger. Number 12 is The Avengers. Number 11 is Thor. Number 10 is Doctor Strange. Number 9 is Iron Man. Number 8 is Ant-Man. Number 7 is Iron Man 3. Number 6 is Civil War. Number 5 is Captain Marvel. Number 4 is The Avengers: Age of Ultron. Number 3 is Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 2 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And number 1 is Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Interesting. Okay, well, my number 16 was the same as yours. Hulk. 15's Iron Man 3. 14, Iron Man 2. I'm sorry. 13, Thor 2. 12, Iron Man. 11, Ultron. 10, Avengers. 9, Ant-Man. 8, Civil War. 7, I rethought this and put Captain Marvel at number 7.
Okay.
6, Winter Soldier. 5, Guardians. 4, Captain America. 3, Doctor Stephen Strange. 2, Thor. And number 1, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Very nice. Interesting that you said the Captain Marvel thing, because I feel like when all is said and done, Captain Marvel might be number 7. Grand scheme. Maybe number 8, but include caught up for Endgame, I feel like Captain Marvel's going to be around there.
Yeah. I need to watch it again, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But
I've seen it twice so far.
Yeah, I've seen it once. Yeah.
Very nice. And
Very nice.
Since odds are you won't be on another episode in the near future, I know you love Loki. Do you rank Thor Ragnarok above Guardians 2?
Yes. It goes Thor Ragnarok and then Guardians 2. Excuse me. It goes my official ranking is Thor Ragnarok, Infinity War, then Guardians 2.
Okay.
Sorry for the confusion.
It's okay. So, that about wraps up our Guardians 2 thoughts.
It does.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Next week, we will be reviewing Spider-Man Homecoming, which I'm very excited for. Jack and Pat will be returning for that one, but they're not here this week, so would you like to plug your socials and all that stuff?
Oh, yes, I will. So, he's making a face at me. Okay. So I don't use Twitter, but he's still making the face. Okay. My Instagram is at KaylaKK, KALAH KK. That's also my Snapchat. And check out my YouTube channel. You can just type in Kayla S, Kalah space S. And those are my things. Oh, I also make some music, so go check that out on my YouTube as well if you want to hear me sing. Thank you.
And if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter at Chris and Buckley. Excelsior now has a Instagram account.
Instagram. I told him to make the Instagram, you guys. So once the Instagram blows up, it was on me.
Okay. So Excelsior JC on Instagram and Twitter at Excelsior JC. Excelsior is also on podcast services. I know you're probably watching this if you're looking at me talk to you. Excelsior is on YouTube at youtube.com/joyclicks, where you can find links to the podcast services, all of our social medias. But we're on Spotify and iTunes as well. Be very helpful if you left a review, ranked it, all that stuff.
Like, subscribe.
Oh, okay. Well, again, thanks for joining.
Send me money. Send me free things. Like, subscribe. Gucci.
And until next time.
Gucci.